Okay, so yeah, I think we are learning a lot during this afternoon. And as I was saying before, the next session is going to be about SelectUSA Investment Summit 2021, which is this main event that happens in the US for businesses interested in the US and making investments there. So now we are very honored to have Mr. Cameron Werker, which is the commercial counselor from the American Embassy in Spain. Mr. Werker, well, while you are joining us, oh, there you are. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, thank you so much for being with us and for explaining the startups, what SelectUSA Summit it is, and the opportunities that it represents for the startups interested in the US market.
Great. Well, thank you. It's a real pleasure to be here. I do have some slides later on to share if I can figure out that maneuver. Not quite sure yet, but I just want to make sure you can hear me okay. Yes? Okay, great. Well, it's just a real pleasure to be here this afternoon. Be invited to participate in the launch of Jump Startup. I want to thank Margarita and the entire Social Nest Foundation for asking me to participate today. It's a beautiful day here in Madrid, although I would say that I would love to be in Valencia to participate in a live event, but let's say next year. Next year will be the year to have a live event. Very much looking forward to that. I was listening to Albert's presentation, and I got to say I'm going to change my presentation a bit. He really gave a great case study of what it's like to be an actual startup company and start in the United States with some great tips. And so I want to build on that a little bit. I probably will go a little bit more macro. He was very micro, but some really, really good tips. His story reminded me of a story when I used to work at the U.S. Embassy in Colombia and had a Colombian friend who was very much looking to start his own company, a tech startup, digital company. And he very much followed in the footsteps of what Albert was talking about in terms of going to California, starting out in San Diego, really trying to make connections within the venture capital world and make those connections. And Albert talked a lot about, really not knowing what you don't know. And just starting up a company in Spain is hard enough in terms of making sure that you're following the rules and regulations. But starting up in a foreign country is even more complicated and can be even more confusing. And so knowing who to talk to navigate some of those issues is really invaluable. I noticed Albert just happened to drop that they had two entities in the United States. One was in Delaware. Well, I can only imagine he did that for tax purposes. Delaware is world famous for companies incorporating there for tax purposes. I can't say that was his reason, but whenever I hear somebody starting in Delaware and they're not an insurance company, I think that's for tax reasons. But nevertheless, let's start big and go small. So I want to just start off building on what Albert said and everybody else. Why the U.S.? Why go to the United States? And Albert talked a lot. Let me just give you kind of the bigger picture. First of all, Spain is actually the 10th largest investor in the United States. Spain's got a portfolio in the United States valued at over $76 billion. Likewise, the United States itself is the largest foreign investor here in Spain with over $55 billion invested. So there is a tremendous amount of two-way cash flows going back in terms of business and startup. And those Spanish companies and a lot of companies going to the United States really are from the innovative and technology-related sectors. There really is the advantage, which I'm going to talk about in a minute as to why that is. But first, I just can't help but mention this idea I'm sure you've heard about before, the quote-unquote American dream. It's a concept that revolves around the notion that everyone and anyone deserves the opportunity for prosperity and success. The American culture encourages taking risks, way back to John D. Rockefeller and J.P. Morgan, to today, Bill Gates, Elon Musk. The United States is just a very strong supporter of entrepreneurship. In fact, the United States is the #1 ranked destination by A.T. Kearney over the last 8 years in a row as the #1 destination for FDI, just reflecting the global confidence that people have in the U.S. market. So why does the U.S. rank #1? There's just a lot of factors. First and foremost, you can't discount the fact that there's over 300 million consumers. Now, having worked in China for about 8 years of my life, they have about 1.4 billion people. They're not going to sell anything to everybody. So it doesn't matter if it's 1.4 billion people in China or 300 million people in the United States. You got to pick your market, right? You have to target. Albert talked about customizing. Well, you don't just customize your product, you customize your marketing plan. So please keep that in mind as well. The United States and Spain enjoy a bilateral tax protocol that was just updated a year ago, November 2009, which eliminates double taxation on U.S. and Spanish companies, which certainly is a huge benefit as you grow your company, as Albert said, from 1 to 30, 2 to 30. It starts to make a difference. But most importantly, especially with the audience today that's really focused on that tech and innovative concept, the United States has got one of the world's strongest intellectual property systems that protects Americans and foreigners alike. In fact, U.S. intellectual property law does not differentiate based on the color of your passport. It doesn't matter if you're from the United States or Spain. Your IP is protected equally. So I don't know if you know, but the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office receives over 1 million patents for review every year. And over half of the utility patents filed every year come from foreign sources. So come and develop your new technology in the United States, because why? Because you'll be protected. The U.S. has received over 2 billion, sorry, my mistake, let's go back, 2 trillion worth of investment in the high-tech sector alone. Think about 2 trillion, that's a massive number. Let's break it down a little bit. Foreign companies spend more than 62.6 billion in R&D in the United States. If that's an impressive number, American university spending in R&D totaled more than $75 billion. That's just to say that the gray matter, that gray matter up here, is all over the United States and encouraging your entrepreneurship, encouraging your innovation. So now hopefully you're thinking to yourself, how do I get on this action? How do I get in on this action that previous speakers spoke about and that I'm speaking about now? So I'm failing to fully appreciate how I can share my screen, but I'm going to try. I think I'm doing it, but I can't quite be sure. I did that, and now I'm here in the middle one, your entire screen. Hard to say. Ooh, look at that. I might be doing it. So, sorry for the, just learning the system here. So again, so how can you get in on the action? So one way is to join the U.S. Department of Commerce's annual SelectUSA Investment Summit, which is scheduled for the first week of June 2021 in Washington, D.C. This is the best way to learn firsthand about the entire FDI and entrepreneurship ecosystem that the United States has to offer. Now think back to what Albert was saying in terms of, all the information that he needed to know, that he didn't know, that he learned while he was there. The SelectUSA Summit literally is a one-stop shop for all of your investing in the United States questions and needs. Not only is every state in the United States represented, but lawyers, banks, venture capital firms, they are all there to meet you. So in 2019, it was the first time that we dedicated an entire portion of the program to startups and scale-ups. And we call that SelectUSA Tech. We had 93 startups from 29 countries join the Investment Summit. 40 of them participated in a presentation, or what we call a pitch fest, to a panel of 9 judges from the venture capital world. We were so excited that at the finale of the pitch fest, the first prize went to a Spanish company, a company called Moonshot Innovations. This was a tremendous achievement, not only in terms of programming, but obviously for our Spanish company that participated. So this is an opportunity for you to learn firsthand, not just kind of fishing around, so to speak, but firsthand from experts, how to do a tech startup in the United States, how to protect your intellectual property in the United States, and how to address venture capital firms. Learn what they're looking for to entice them to invest in your applications. So again, we're still looking forward to announcing further details for the 2021 event when they become available, and we will be sure to pass them through Social Nest Foundation to get that out to all of you in a timely manner. But for now, save the date, early June 2021. And we welcome you all there. We welcome reaching out to us. There's my email address. Please don't hesitate to contact myself in my office. I'm not as cool as Albert. I don't have a Twitter handle. 8 years in China has made me a little social media shy, so to speak. But with that, I will wrap up. And thank you very much for your time. And again, I'm happy to take any questions if there are. Otherwise, thank you very much, and have a wonderful afternoon. Enjoy the rest of the program. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Werker. Yeah, I think that, well, I lived in the US for 2 years, and you are mentioning about the American dream, and definitely it's such a stimulant environment where when you are there, the entrepreneurship it's in the air. so definitely SelectUSA Summit, yeah, I'm sure that it definitely is a place where startups can go and get the contacts and interest and make their startups really to make a leap. I'm sure about that. So yeah, thank you so much for the information about SelectUSA. We will be yeah, looking forward for the details when they come. So thank you so much for sharing all that information about the summit to us.
Thank you.
Thanks.